Good morning. I'm here with Juyoung Song, who's Assistant Professor of Administrations of Justice at Penn State University. She has written 5 big data related books in Korean, as well as several journal articles. And she's just recently published the book Crime Prediction Using Big Data that is about to be translated into English. And it's a pleasure to introduce you here and to sit with you here this morning. Before we start with the 3 questions that I have for you, for those that aren't perhaps familiar with big data, how would you define big data?
So big data, there are no singular term, but we're going to say that big data is term for the collection of the data sets. So large and complex that it becomes too difficult to process using on-hand data analysis or traditional data methodology. So the challenges can include like capture, curations, or storage, search, sharing, or the analysis, transfer, or the visualization. So there are 4 different characteristics of big data. The first one, we can say that it's a volume. It means that the quantity of the data set. And then the second one is that the variety, which is the types or the nature of the data. And then the third one is that velocity, which means the data in motion. Then the last characteristics can be the veracity. It's really important to affect the accuracy of the data analysis. So there will be the characteristics and then the definition of the big data.
So, according to your new book about crime prediction using big data, what sources of information did you use, and what criminal behaviors can be identified or prevented using big data?
Actually, the modern society, the crime phenomenon is more complex and diverse, and it's really hard to capture one analysis skills to predict or to see the crime itself. So machine learning is a learning process to use a traditional data, then predict a new data on those properties. The methodology for collecting and analyzing the unstructured data, and then from the online channels or the social network service. Okay. So my book includes like different types of topics. First one is sexting, and then the cyberbullying, and drug risk factors, and also I included juvenile recidivism, which is juvenile persistence. So the book mainly collected a data and then using social big data, which is from like Twitter blogs or like boards or news boards. And then the prediction of the juvenile delinquency, I collected the data set from the juveniles who were in the juvenile classification office in South Korea. By using or collecting these social big data, we usually use a crawler, the collecting robot, which we call this as a crawler. So, and the keywords are extracted by utilizing the nature language of the processing robot.
Okay, and so once you've collected all of this data, what happens next? What are the next steps, and what analyses do you do with this data?
Yeah, usually the next step is that by generating learning data, we use those text minings or opinion mining analysis, and then we analyze the temporal nature of the frequency of the keywords, and then we find those future signals. How? After future signals finding, we can make models by various different types of machine learning technologies or the machine learning algorithms, such as neural network or decision-making trees, and develop a prediction model by using those data.
Thank you very much. So do you think that big data can inform public policy, and how?
Very great question. Sure. By analyzing and forecasting with a variety of big data, we can make an innovative public policy. For example, like so far, we use a traditional data analysis technology by using mainly survey data or face-to-face or like interviews, which contains a fragmentary information that researchers or previous research defined, theoretically defined. But these characteristics of data do not include the various informations about individual possesses because the researcher only includes the operational definition for those variables. So it's very difficult to grasp, such as like attitudes in cyberspace, such as sexting, cyberbullying, or by using existing research method, like as I mentioned, like face-to-face or self-survey. So that means that collecting and analyzing the documents mentioned in the online relation to the cyberbullying or the sexting notions, it can be utilized as the new methodology to overcome those limitations that the traditional or the previous research has.
Okay, so could you maybe give us an example of how your analysis has informed public policy, or an example from Korea, maybe?
Yeah, we actually there are a lot of like a governmental level a monitoring news sexting is already developed, but still we need a monitoring of the real-time sexting is rather challenging or difficult. Therefore, the risk factors of sexting should be analyzed to develop applications can be monitor or prevent crime transactions that pose those risk factors.
Thank you very much. So my last question about your book is, how do you manage the challenge of representativeness while using big data for analyzing crime?
In order to predict crime phenomena in the past, most of the methodology that using or analyzing the sample based on the model decided by the researcher or based on the existing theory. So this is a limited result based on the sample. So there is a limitation to understand those relationships between different types of variables. But machine learning provides the population big data by developing models and forecasting. We can predict a complex and diverse crime phenomenon more accurately. So we can grasp a new insight about the predicted results of artificial intelligence through comparison with existing theory. Again, machine learning analysis is the association of the attributed contained data, not the methodology of hypothesis testing for the existing sample. So this machine learning and artificial intelligence learn the knowledge of new data with a prediction probability is more reliable or the more valuable. So most importantly, getting a high quality big data can be utilized by the different types of machine learning algorithms and the artificial intelligence in different types of various fields.
Very interesting. Thank you very much. And so the book Crime Prediction Using Big Data, you said that it's currently being translated into English, and when could we expect it?
I'm going to say the early next year, 2019.
Okay, wonderful. Well, very much looking forward to reading it in English. Highly recommendable. Crime Prediction Using Big Data. And thank you very much for your time this morning. Yes.
Thank you very much.